Welcome, Warrior. We are live on a Friday afternoon here in New York City on a beautiful, kind of summery, sunshiny day, which is very nice. We've had a lot of rain lately, but welcome. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. I have no shame. We are trying very hard at the Warriors to build up our community base, get this information out to you, and also always hit, please, the like button so we can also get into that, as I like to say, the superhighway on the YouTube channel. I want to see how everybody's doing. Please give me a 5x5. You can hear me, you can see me. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way before I start talking. So, Fred is here. Um, okay, Fred, let me see what's going on with these messages. There's a few before you. Edie beat me to it. Edie's right at the top with hitting the like button. Thank you, Edie, for always doing that. Now, and thank you, Fred, for that nice. Let me just see what you said, Fred, before I thank you. See if it's a nice message. I think it is, though. Bright, conducive healing shot of stem. Oh, uplift and rejuvenate. Okay, you know what I like that, Fred, because I'm the first one to admit that what we talk about. Thank you, Fred, 5x5, Edie, 5x5, good enough for me. Two of our biggest and original warriors. Listen, I'm the first one to admit that what we talk about on the Warriors is tough stuff. It's complex. It is sometimes deemed as negative, but I'm here to say if I don't tell you about these issues surrounding child safety online in real time, legislation, what's happening with survivor parents, what's happening in the schools, what's happening with media, who's going to really tell you? Think of it as kind of one-stop shopping for all you need to know, want to know, or as we like to say, will help us spread the word out into the communities, out with family members, because so much is happening, right? Don't you feel beat up by a Friday? Kind of feel beat up. At the same time, the weeks are going so fast. Time is just flying by. So with that, I should say, happy kickoff to the summer. Everybody needs to take a breath. Everybody needs to slow down and just take in their surroundings. I always tell you, get back with nature. I know it sounds simplistic, but because of the world we're living in, we're not taking those walks in the park. A lot of us aren't. We aren't putting down the devices for a little bit every day. Now, granted, we don't want to do away with devices. I tell you all the time, we at the Warriors, all of us, all of my colleagues that we work with around the country, we are pro-innovation, pro-technology. We just want to make it work for us as opposed to we work for technology. It's interesting because I was talking with somebody this morning, and she was telling me that when I say to her, how do you take care of yourself? She's a survivor parent, right? Meaning her child was harmed by a drug that was bought on a social media platform. That's the bottom line. And she said, the healing for me is in talking about it and sharing the story and helping other parents and everybody understand. We had this great child who never did anything wrong, was a great student, a great, brother to his brothers and sisters. And this one incident caused this horrible, traumatic lifelong. But she was saying, I feel like in this world we live in, if I'm not posting, if I'm not talking about it every minute, I'm doing something wrong. Because I said to her, you have to step away. I said, easy for me to say, step away a little bit, take care of yourself a little bit more. And she said, we're so conditioned to keep going. And that's true. That's true. Because I also feel like, geez, I could sit online 24 hours a day and post stories about predators, about, law enforcement, legislation, everything. And it gets you into that mode of, oh, if I don't do it, I'm going to get left out. I'm going to get, but I'm here to say that is not what any of us are going to do. We're going to, maybe limit ourselves every day. I obviously am in this field. I try to put out content every day to share with you, right? I don't think if I was not a warrior and running the Warriors and so concerned about children and safety and all of you and being strong enough to be a voice for those who can't, I don't think I'd be online. I would not, because there truly is something called this AI slop going on right now. I feel like in the last year especially, just junk junk, and we don't know what's true with pictures, and who has time to go back and see if the image is real, research the image. It's tough. But what I want to share with you on this Friday afternoon, I kind of like Friday afternoons. Not only do you feel exhausted by the end of the week from everything going on, but there's so much good news by the end of the week piling up with what we work on in the Warriors. So I really wanted to share some of that with you because there's a lot of positive movement. The first thing I want to share with you is the Take It Down Act, which was signed into legislation a year ago, May, just a little over a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago last week or thereabouts. We were there, the Warriors, in the Rose Garden when President Trump and our First Lady signed it, both into legislation. But the good news I want to share with you, so that happened. Remember, Washington, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of delay, there's a lot of, I'll put it that way. But just last week, it started being enforced. Might have been this week. See, all the weeks are just piling into each other. And enforced means that the Take It Down Act, you will potentially be fined or perhaps go to jail if you don't adhere to what this is. And this is the Take It Down. I'm going to give you, I'll put it in the website, the body of the video, the website. It's takeitdown.ftc.gov. And this is where you report platforms that are sharing intimate images, photos or videos. And if they don't take it down within 48 hours, and it's not on you, this is the good part, right? Because we always talk about big tech. They put everything on parents, on society, on the public. Take it down, right? You don't have to look. Somebody asked a very good question. We had a meeting about it today. Do you have to search for your images online or... right? Because remember, once an image is online, a video online, it's there forever. Even if it's deleted, somebody has captured it, shared it, right? In seconds, things are shared. So no, you do not. It is up to, when you report it to the FTC, basically, they will do all the work and they will go after everybody. And this is a beautiful thing. We haven't had anything like this. So again, that is takeitdown.ftc.gov. This is a win. Again, I'll put that in the video, the body of the video. Sorry, everybody. So you can look at that. But this is a reporting platform that they do all the work for you. So we're happy about that. This is a big win. And the other thing I wanted to bring up for you is our great friend Chris McKenna, who runs protectyoungeyes.com. I talk about him a lot. I use Chris and Protect Young Eyes as a resource. He has a brand new book coming out. It's actually, there's a link to buy it now, and it's coming out, I think, in about 3 weeks. 5 Habits of the Tech Ready Family. And if anybody can talk about all of this, it is Chris McKenna. It is a book to help you in this environment, shape your environment to create confident kids. So instead of the usual, no, this is wrong, this is bad, this is a tool to help you focus on the positive, create that confident child, how to gear them in today's world. And I can't wait. I ordered my book today to read this, to interview Chris. He'll be on the Warriors in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about all of this. Chris will answer any personal email. You go on his website, protectyoungeyes.com. He's so busy. He's traveling the country. He speaks a lot at places of worship, in schools, at camps, all of that. And he has the greatest resource tool because, as you know, every day we have apps popping up, platforms popping up, games popping up. Who can keep up with it but Chris? And that's exactly what the predators and what big tech wants, that you're not keeping an eye on anything. So big tech can continue addicting our children, continue making money from ad dollars, and the predators are right there. Remember, wherever the kids are, so are the predators. So they're counting with all this confusion and everything coming at us. We won't do anything about it. We'll close the door, we'll shut our eyes. But Chris McKenna at Protect Young Eyes will break down how to put the safety features, because let's face it, I get some pushback about this, so I want to go over something. Yes, most devices, and a reminder that kids have, ages 9 to 17, access to 4 devices in their homes, the Chromebooks, the laptops, gaming, phones, definitely. So they do come a lot with safety features not installed. At the least, you think big tech could install safety features, right? They don't, though. Okay. The instructions are so difficult for most people, so involved that most people do not even bother with it. They hand their child, they say, be safe, be careful. But Chris will actually break down how you do every safety step, okay, including something we rarely talk about in our homes. We all have routers, right, with our internet, and how you can protect with the router. And that sounds a little bit, involved or something, but Chris will break it all down for you. I can't recommend him enough. He's a great colleague, and I'm honored to call him a friend, protectyoungeyes.com. And so I can't wait for this book, because instead of just the bad and the big tech, but yes, it's all part of the picture. We want to start creating, from the time a child is born, these confident kids, these kids that know how to handle big tech. We're sitting on, not sitting on, we're in AI. And we want to get them tech ready appropriately. So we have that. Let me make sure I didn't skip anything. Late to the game, but Lionel Nation is saying, I'm late to the game, not him. Loud and clear, please support and contribute to Lynn's Warriors, especially at the end of the month when revenue species are finally calculated. I think that's what you mean. Thank you. Thank you. Full disclosure, husband. Yeah, the environment out there is very rough. It's interesting. A fact is, we love our animals, we love our pets. That's not even up for discussion. But do you know more people donate and support pets than they do children? That's fine, because everybody can choose whatever they want to do. But I always find that interesting. I guess in New York, because I see a lot of this and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. This is just me, everybody. I see a lot of these very expensive, and they are expensive because I've looked up the prices, or people have told me what they've spent. In other words, like a baby stroller, a baby carriage, but their dog is in it. And the other day I saw one. I think it was the first time I actually saw this one. This woman had a cat in one of them. And they're usually all decked out, sometimes with toys hanging off the bars and railings, and they've got blankets. The cat was all dressed up in an outfit with toys. And I thought, okay, that's fine. That's your choice. Not judging, not knocking. But there are so many kids that need a baby stroller or a baby carriage. And it is a proven fact that more people give money to animals. And we've got to protect our children. There's such a need. When 1 in 10 children in New York City are basically living in homeless shelters, okay? Going from shelter to shelter, couch to couch every night. Now, I don't know what's in your neighborhood where you are, but we know there's a problem with all of this. Kids that do have to live in shelters or be with friends, neighbors, family members. We had a story of a 12-year-old girl who, there were like 20 people living in the house. And so she was forced to share with her 20-year-old uncle. All kinds of situations, right, that lead to all kinds of problems. We also know that 1 in 4, I think this is across the country actually, 1 in 4 children are going to public schools hungry. And we have all these food programs. Sometimes that's the only food the kids get in the school. So I personally just sort of have a problem when I see a cat all dressed up with pearl necklaces, not even collars. The cat had necklaces on the other day, and no judging again, but I'm always thinking about the kids and the families and the moms, the families who can't afford all this stuff. But here's what I want to talk about also. I want to give a refresher, a reminder to all of us. We so grew up ingrained in our brains of that stranger danger, right? It sticks with everybody. Stranger danger. We have an uptick. I don't think the media is covering what I hear, okay, and my sources. There have been 2 stories in the news recently. One is this little girl, 4 or 5 years old, went to put the garbage out just at her front door, family home, and a strange man ran up and tried to grab her right off the sidewalk next to the garbage can. And she fought, and she screamed, and she yelled and ran back into the house. Number 1. Number 2, just the other day, I think that was, maybe it was Florida. Might have been Ohio. Don't Don't hold me to anything, everybody. Because I get so many of these stories, I can't keep track, right? Unless I have my notes in front of me. All day long, I'm getting headlines about these things. The other story was coming out of Georgia, a 14-year-old girl, very nice neighborhood. I mean, the lawns were manicured and nice plants and trees. From what I could see in the video, 14-year-old girl walking home from school, and a car drove up. A guy jumped out and tried to snatch her right off the sidewalk. And she too screamed and fought like HELL, okay, everybody, from what I heard, and got away and was able to give a full description. The good news there is in both cases, they caught the guys. I mean, this is the beauty now. You may not like all the surveillance and ring doorbells and things like that, but cases like this, they really help with everything. So there's an uptick in just grabbing kids out of supermarkets, out of Walmarts, out of Targets, anywhere like that. So we must review what to do. You must teach your children and grandchildren. You have to warn them that we're not trying to scare anybody. We're not being paranoid. This is a fact. We have to change everything we think and have these tools in our belt right now. So in case something happens, you have to teach your kids, if somebody touches them, comes near them, scream and make as much noise and kick and run. We have to do that because there are too many of these cases. We must remind everybody to do all of this. So the good news is with these two cases, these creeps were caught, but there's a lot of creeps out there that don't get caught. As a matter of fact, I just heard a story from a woman in her early 60s. So we know these things have been going on, right, for decades. Fred, that's a good idea, a lightning strike from God. Now you're making me digress and go off on another tangent. I do question everybody. I do say sometimes, why is there so much horror? And remember, and this is not because I'm teasing you right now. If I could really tell you, and I just can't because, number one, we're on YouTube. And I can't bring myself to say certain things out loud, right? And there's algorithms here, or I just can't tell you because if people can't absorb that we have predators on their child's phone, right? They fight me on that. If I could really tell you some of the things I know, stories, cases, so horrific. You couldn't write this in a horror movie for a Hollywood script. I'll say the old Hollywood because there is no Hollywood today. It is so horrible. And the fact that the public does not understand, it's getting better. So that's the hope out there. When you hand your child a device, and this really goes for all of us as well. I mean, we should all have safety features, right? Because of this slop going on where those hiding behind the screens can just attack us, say what they want. It's a free-for-all, insult people, judge people. What happened to let people say whatever they want as long as they're not harming each other? And it is sheer craziness out there. You know that. I know this. So, we have to have some sort of safety features. When we've used everything, we have to have a piece of legislation to protect kids, to protect minors. But let me just go back for a second. I just want to make sure. Let's review that. Teaching children and grandchildren, they got to get loud. Anybody strange comes near them, touches them, that is not okay. They are to scream, kick, and run. They got to make a lot of noise and run. We always suggest kicking because kids generally or teens or, a kick will hurt in the knee or elsewhere. But screaming and running. The little girl was 4 or 5 years old, but she screamed holy terror and got away. But this is really creepy because we do have cases where they are going out and they want, a 5-year-old blonde girl or boy, and they'll go out and they'll look for that child. So be aware this is happening, okay? Now, that being said, whatever that may be for trafficking, for their personal whatever, many trafficked and exploited are still, it is done by family members or someone the family knows, that familial trafficking. So we have to be aware of that as well. But again, there's a lot of good news happening that more people are awake about all of this. And we have a great new resource. Our colleagues at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation just launched their Parent Center. parentscenter.org. I want to really call this one-stop shopping because they leveraged, let me explain this. They leveraged AI for good. They have an AI tool. Let's review AI. So the artificial intelligence, when you go on ChatGPT, OpenAI, whatever you're doing, where does it get the information, right? When you ask it a question, it scrapes from the internet, from everything that's been loaded, anything we're talking about, they're able to research, pull. Again, that's why we have, here I go again, digressing, but that's why we have these huge data centers. We're not talking enough about that. As a whole, as a country, I mean, that's just flooding into these areas and taking all the water and taking all the clean air and just these massive places putting off all this weird lighting in the middle of the night that people are reporting. But it scrapes, AI scrapes, and then gives you an answer. Okay, that is why it's not 100% dependable. Because where does that information come from? Right? What if they're using, I'm just saying this as an example, child safety, and they're using a book, I don't know, written by a predator. Again, an example, everybody. And it scraped that information. And somehow, when you're putting in a question, how to keep my kids safe, maybe it grabs from that. You have to vet this information. You can't totally rely on it or think it's 100%. The beauty about the Parent Center is they have developed an AI tool over the last couple of years that it's right there, parentscenter.org. Go try it out as an example. Ask it a question. When you ask it this question, the information you get back is from vetted sources. Many of them we work with here at the Warriors, such as protectyoungeyes.com and Thorn, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Obviously, they put out this, they developed this Parent Center. So your information this is leveraging AI for good. This is what we want, right? We want this to help us, the AI. And this is an example of it can be done. So when people fight about it, there's a lot of good with AI. We just have to be the ones in charge, get it out there, the ethical technologists, which they all are at the Parent Center. So your information, you can be sure when it comes back to you, whatever question you ask, that is well studied, vetted information. And not only that, it will also give you a bunch of links to resources and things like that for further education, for further resources. It is so fantastic. I was so happy to hear about this. You can find actually that interview. I just posted it with Lynn Schill. She's the director of the Parent Center. And she came on the Warriors to tell us a little bit about it. So please, actually, it's a reminder. Please make sure you share these videos from our channel. Please make sure, if I say to you, this is not about me, I mean it is not about me. It is my calling and my passion to try to get information to you. You may not hear about or see because, listen, there's censorship. There's censorship with this subject. I don't know how else to tell everybody. Sometimes videos just don't appear. Sometimes you tweet, you can't find the tweet. Sometimes people tell you, where are you, Lynn? I haven't seen you in the last week. Well, I'm there because I guarantee you, I put out content every single day. Okay. So go and look for this interview with Lynn Schill, learn about the Parent Center, share it with anybody who has kids or grandkids, because again, it is that one-stop shopping. So it's how you can get involved, how you can ask questions, how you can get resources. It does it all for you. And that's what we need, because it's a little here, a little there. I do try to put everything under Lynn's Warriors. A reminder, go to lynswarriors.org. We are heavily for the fall. You're going to hear so many great things in the schools, right? Because we have to get into those schools. When I say we, I mean you and me, all of us, get on top of this AI, right? We have a duty to get in there. What are you teaching about AI? What is the program? What is the rollout? What are the kids learning? What do the teachers know? So we have to go in and work on all of this. And listen, the hope I have, and I've mentioned it before, is there's tremendous, it's called pen or pencil to paper, where parents themselves across the country have started a movement that my child does not have to be on that government issued Chromebook or use their phone to do homework because they lost their Chromebook. Can you imagine, like here in New York City, if you lose your Chromebook, you don't get another one. So we got these poor kids. Imagine trying to do homework on a phone. That reminds me, so many reports of kids eye problems now that we have studies coming out about the use of all these devices, all kinds of, yeah, eye problems, tech neck from bending over. They're developing this curvature in their neck. Kids are getting backaches, right? It's all related to the devices and being on them and staring at them and the different lights that come if when kids are on at nighttime and things like that. So now we have medical problems that we know about. So there's a lot going on. But let's get back to the pencil to paper, which is what I like to call it, because it is called different things. I love that the state of Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro, says we want textbooks back in public schools. We want this pencil to paper. And he's actually like mandating this, which I think is a terrific thing. Not only for the kids, obviously, right? Don't you feel better when, well, I do. If I actually write something, I remember it better than if I'm just typing on a keyboard. So I do a lot of my it's all important what we do at the Warriors. But sometimes when I'm writing something or an interview, I'm researching the person or the organization, I like to write notes out because then I just remember it automatically in my mind. But I've been doing that since I'm a kid. But we need our kids, forget me, we need our kids, those developing brains. We know, because we do have studies, when they have to hold that pen or pencil and they have to write and try to be neat, on paper, right? They remember better. Those brains that are still developing. So this is a terrific move. We applaud the state of Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro, starting this next year in the schools. Also, many of the states have the bell to bell, no phones in the classrooms during the day. It's funny. I had somebody say, oh yeah, well, the kids are still, able to access the internet. Listen, we at the Warriors are pro innovation. We are pro technology. We want, again, all of this technology to work for our kids, to work for us, not that we work for it. So that being said, if kids are off their phones, right, for 6-7 hours, whatever the length of their school day is, that's 6 or 7 hours less that they can focus on their relationships with their peers and their teachers and their classroom studies. And teachers are reporting all over that the kids are doing better. They love the noise in the playground, in the cafeteria. Kids are talking and making eye contact. So it's like an easy thing. So we're swinging back. So this is all a positive. And, I wish media, I have to continue working on this, which I am. I want one PSA about even what I just spoke about, about predators approaching children and teens. When I say children, I mean, 18 and under, right? Children and teens, that they should run to remind people this is happening. Because I don't know what people think these days, that here we have devices, we have the internet, we have more information available than ever, right? More available. Yet people I guess they're just following the AI slop, a lot of people. They're not following, there's a lot of good stuff to follow. Go to the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Look at the resources, okay? Go to protectyoungeyes.com and look at everything you want to do tech-wise. Chris McKenna has there. And if he doesn't, you can ask it. Go to this Take It Down Now. Again, I'm going to put these links in the body of this video. But if your child or even yourself, if somebody has posted, because with AI now, they could be taking me right now and making me nude. What do I know? What do we know, right? You can report it and they will be held responsible. See how they'll be held responsible. Go to this, takeitdown.ftc.gov. Lays it out very simply, how you report, what they're facing. And I hope, because the onus is on, right, that platform, that people will think about this before they post these nude images, revenge porn, deep fakes, things of that nature. But we have to also tell our kids about this, because there has been a whole rash in schools of this deep fakes where one student will take a picture of a girl in the class or a bunch of girls, and then with a free AI tool they find online and make them nude, pornographic, and share that around the schools. Now, what do the schools do? The schools have been shutting their mouths. They don't want to create chaos. They haven't been telling the parents until could be a week later, 2 weeks later, they try to shush everything. Many of the schools reported when this was happening all this year and last year, well, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what the worst answer in the world. That's why at the Warriors, we want you to be prepared. Go to lynswarriors.org. Be prepared. We hope none of these things ever happen to you. But if they do, we're going to have the website for Take It Down. All the work is done for you. 1-800-THE-LOST. Should your child go missing all of a sudden, right? Local FBI numbers, keep them handy. Know that there are resources so you don't freeze in that moment. But this Take It Down now, this is very, very important. This will make people think twice, hopefully, but it'll make the platforms. But that being said, they do have a lot of money. So maybe to them, just paying off millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars, they'll say, well, we're going to be all invested in AI now. This doesn't matter to us. But I don't think so. I think we're seeing that pendulum really swing. So remember to follow all of this. I know I'm throwing a lot in there, but there's a lot happening. I want to just make sure I don't miss any comments from anybody. Yes, Fred says, I've seen videos online where they're trying to yank the child right out of the mother's grip. Yep, I've seen those too. And also, let me see what this monkey, Momo, I see what this is. Kids and screens is a battle. I see it with my grandkids. It is, but we have no choice but to face it head on, to talk about it, and do everything in our power to protect our kids. Okay? We do have a contingent, a lot of young people. Again, you don't hear these stories because we tend to see online, or we tend to see on cable news, local news. You tend to hear all the stories of the bad, right? Because that gets the clicks and likes. And I know I sound very, pie in the sky here, but I'm always like, if kids are so easily influenced by all this bad content, which they are, we don't have time to go through all the studies, right? Why can't we flood it with all this great content? There are a lot of great kids out there doing some great stuff, right? Flood it with great content and sway the kids' minds in this great way. Is slowly happening. There are a lot of 30s and under, 30 to 20, they said, we're done. We've been used as guinea pigs. We've been a social media experiment, fueled by internal memos leaked from big tech companies, by whistleblowers. Those are the best that have come forward to say, here's what's going on. Take our emails, take our internal memos, see what they're saying about kids, see what they're saying about families, see how they just want money from you. They just want you addicted. They call you herd animals. They can get you to do anything they want. This is the way they talk about you. And a reminder, a lot of these big tech CEOs don't allow their own children to use social media. That should be, like a Mark Zuckerberg, a Bill Gates. That should be a clue right there. You got to do something. So we got to all come together. We're going to take it easy this weekend a little bit, keep our eye on the ball. A lot of good wins this week. We have the Parent Center. Again, I'll put links in the body of this video. Great, great information, because for once, it's the first time in all this work in the last year, I'm seeing AI really used for good. And that is, again, because these ethical technologists, they're providing the good vet information. So when you ask a question, those are the answers you're getting. We have that. A reminder that Warrior Weekend on WABC Radio will be Saturday morning at about 2:30 a.m. That's here in New York. The station goes out to hundreds of different affiliates, so we're on at all different times. But in New York live, that would be around 2:30 a.m. Please tune in to WABCRadio.com or use the app. We'll be talking about, we're sitting right in front of the World Cup. The World Cup that I've been hearing about for 3 years from law enforcement. This is an open invitation from those from around the world. Their mindset, a lot of people, is come to America because it's a free-for-all. We won't get in trouble, and that means exploitation of our children. That means drugs. Anytime you have a large event, whether a concert, a convention, a sports event, wherever there are people, we have more exploitation of children. Trafficking of children, because in all the chaos, in all this noise, nobody's really looking. It's easy to bring kids, exchange kids, but we know they're flying in, they're coming in by train, bus, car. We have motels and hotels on alert, but the World Cup is taking place. It's 16, I believe it's 16 host cities across the United States. And so we have our work cut out. But I will say, law enforcement, banks, venues themselves, communities are well armed for all of this. But if you see something, please say something. And that means there'll be a lot of law enforcement if you're at one of these games, please, or any concert in the future or any sporting event. Remember, boots on the ground. Report it immediately to boots on the ground. You will not get in trouble if you're wrong. We know in our gut, like if something doesn't feel right, right? Report it. Again, you don't get in trouble. You see something in a bathroom, report that, okay? We don't have time to even call, 911, even though that's your next step, 911, your local FBI office, because traffickers, predators, in a second, they're gone. So you could be saving a child's life, a teen's life. So with that, we wish everybody, we have work to do. I thank all of you for being here, for sharing these videos, for being part of Lynn's Warriors. A reminder, next week, we've got the Freedom Awards on June 4th here. I'm sorry, June 3rd, Wednesday here in New York City. If you're around, I'll give you that link as well. That is 10 years with the PACT organization, Protect All Children Against Trafficking, with our great friend Lori Cohen, CEO. Actually, look for the interview. It's right here on the Warriors channel, talking about the great work, truly the one organization in New York that I trust, doing great work, boots on the ground for children, services, education. And then Thursday, June 4th, I'll be at the Short Hills Mall, or the Mall at Short Hills, as they call it. When I was a kid, we called it the Short Hills Mall, at the Little Bead store. Little Words Project. I'm sorry, everybody, it's Friday afternoon. They graciously, Little Words Project, they selected Lynn's Warriors for their nonprofit for April, May, and June, and their little beaded bracelets. Actually, I have mine on. I don't know if you can see this. It says Lynn's Warriors. I designed it with blue beads because blue is the color for human trafficking. It represents, we're blue because we're sad because we're talking about it a lot. And then the victims have blue hearts because they're trapped in this horrible situation. And apparently, the company was started by a mom a few years back in New Jersey. There are loads of stores now. One just opened up here in downtown New York where everybody, women, girls, teens, are collecting the bracelets, sharing the bracelets. The idea is words of empowerment on the bracelets. You can create. They have created for you, and you share the bracelets. Each bracelet is coded. You pass it on to encourage somebody. It's really a good message, and I'm very honored and humbled that they've chosen Lynn's Warriors as their nonprofit. So please keep that in mind, that our monies go to education. Our monies go towards supporting survivors. There's never enough for them, right? Remember, this is a lifelong trauma. You don't get saved and then all of a sudden, miraculously, you're living a happy life. It is a lifelong trauma that requires education. It requires housing. It requires job training, a job. And in the meantime, who's doing all this? Well, we are at the Warriors. We're helping with all of this. So with this, please honor our hashtag Community Creates Change. Thank you all for your support, whether it's donations, in-kind services, goods. We get a lot of things from people. You're all the best. You're all warriors. Enjoy your weekend. Get out there with nature. Love each other. Be kind. Pass it on. And remember, when you wake up each and every day, I like to tell everybody, just go out and be a warrior. Let's speak again soon. Thank you, everybody.